only mode.
Well, hello to everybody who is joining us here today. I'm Rebecca Radice with Post Planner, and I am here today with Ian Cleary of Razor Social. Ian, welcome. So excited to be here with you.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here, Rebecca. I'm tuning in here all the way from Dublin, Ireland. Sunny Dublin. Well,
I was going
it's
to
sort of
say,
dark and cold.
oh, well, I'm in sunny Southern California. It's not dark and cold, but it is a little chilly for us. I won't complain though.
Okay.
Not
Okay. Well,
compared to
that's
the dark and cold.
nah, it's like chilly for you now is not chilly for us, you know. Chilly is probably warm for us.
That's exactly right. Like I said, I will not complain. So, today we're going
Yeah.
to talk about how to use Twitter to double website traffic, your followers, and your sales. We have a ton of great information put together here for you today. So, we're going to move pretty fast. We want to get you through this and make time for some Q&A. So, make sure clear off your desk, turn off those pesky notifications that I know we all have popping up left and right. And just know that Ian is here to give us his number one A game, which I know you always bring. Now, unfortunately, we can't see you dance. I know that you've got some pretty slick dance moves too.
Yeah, of course I don't do any breakdancing on webinars, only at live conferences.
Ah, bummer. Bummer. So
Mm.
anyway, Ian, just super excited. I'm going to just share a little bit about you. Like I said, you are the founder of Razor Social. It's a company dedicated to helping others become insanely, I love that word, insanely productive and efficient in social media through the use of online tech and tools so no entrepreneur gets left behind. And we have known each other, I don't even know how many years now, but I want to say we met on Twitter. We've been fortunate enough to
Think so.
see each other, meet each other face to face.
Yeah.
Really take that relationship from the online to the offline. But I have been since day one just incredibly impressed with your knowledge of not just tools, but really inbound marketing, really the whole methodology behind turning something like Twitter into a lead generating machine, something that you'll actually see results and ROI, which, I know that's shocking to a lot of people who are
Absolutely.
struggling to really make the most of Twitter. So I'm excited for us to talk today about all that you've been working on, everything that you've got going on, and how we can all really monetize Twitter within our business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I do write a lot about the tech side, but I'm very focused on the from the business side as people are spending time on a lot of social channels. They want to convert that time into actually generating money for their business, and that is certainly possible, and we'll be going through that tonight. Well, tonight or today? It's
Today,
tonight in Ireland.
yeah, exactly. Depending on where you're located. And we are also on Twitter. So if you'd like to share anything we talk about here today, make sure that you follow Ian at Ian Cleary, at Razor Social, and then use that hashtag viral webinar. So all of your friends, all of your followers can keep up with exactly what we're talking about here today. And then you can follow me at Rebecca Radice, and then Post Planner, of course, at Post Planner. So you ready, Ian? You want to dive in?
I'm ready.
All right.
Absolutely. I'm very, very ready. So, first of all, thanks very much, everybody, for joining today. What we're going to do, it's going to be a very practical session. There's going to be lots of practical tips for driving traffic and driving sales for Twitter. So you will walk away with stuff that you will be able to implement because that's what we want to focus on. It's not just general conversation. It's stuff that you can go away and implement. And by the way, I am a big fan of Post Planner and I use it regularly and it's a great tool to use, so definitely a big fan of that as well. So what we're going to talk about is Twitter tactics to ensure your following grows every single day. So it is important that your Twitter following grows. As long as it's relevant followers, that's what's important. We're going to talk about how to get 100 to 500% more traffic to your website from Twitter. Typically, sales doesn't happen on the channel on Twitter. The sales happens when you bring people to your website. So you need to have good tactics in place to get people from Twitter to your website. And we'll talk about the Prism process, which is a process we have and we've built up over the last couple of years. And that process is steps that you can follow to take that tweet to generate money. So we take it from the very start right to the end. And we'll explain this process as well. And I think you'll find it very useful as a framework. And we'll talk about ways to reduce time spent on Twitter because it can be a time waster as well. So we'll definitely be covering that. And Rebecca will be jumping in every so often because Rebecca has a lot of skills in this area as well. So lots of information we're going to share. So social media, it is rocketing in importance and use. 7 billion people on the planet, 2 billion are on social media. It's becoming hard to distinguish what is social media anymore. It's really all about where there's an opportunity for you to engage with your current or potential customer. And that could be on Twitter or Facebook or so many different channels available now. So it is increasing in importance. But one of the big questions we get is, can you make money from social media? Can you really make money from social media? Well, look at this quote from Kim Garst, who again uses Post Planner a lot. And she said, each ebook I share on Twitter has an opt-in which leads to a sales funnel to a related product. I add 5,000 plus subscribers to my list and get nearly as many sales leads every month without spending a penny on advertising. Now, Kim has a large audience, so her numbers are larger, but still, if you look at this quote, she's talking about Twitter, talking about opt-ins, sales funnels, subscribers, leads. That's not normal when we're talking about Twitter. A lot of the time people are talking about engagement and likes and retweets. That's okay. You need to get that engagement. But then you want to get people from there into your sales funnel, taken from Twitter over onto your website. If they're not ready to buy, they may become an email subscriber, and then over time they may buy. So it's really interesting to see just the language used here because it's generating sales every single day. So this is Prism, and people find this very useful because it gives you a framework to think about things. So you have your business, and then you've got process, content, tools, and technology. We know we need good content across the web, whether it's a blog or Twitter or Facebook, we need good content. We need good processes in place because without the process, it's going to take us too much time. And we need some good tools to help us with this. And again, that's going to save time, make us more efficient. The combination of that builds your Prism. So your Prism is people. You have to build an audience. A following on Twitter, a following on Facebook. It doesn't matter what channel. Then you build relationships. If you're not engaging and interacting with people, well, that audience isn't much good to you. So you need to build that engagement. Then you drive inbound traffic into your website. When you drive that inbound traffic, the next stage, somebody could buy at this stage, but they're more likely to go, well, I'll sign up as an email subscriber, and then you can market to them over time. Now you have them on your list. It's your community, not on another channel. And there's also social retargeting. So if somebody doesn't join your list and then goes back to Twitter or back to Facebook, then you can show them an ad to bring them back to your website again. And that's extremely important now using social retargeting. And finally, there's monetization. When people become an email subscriber, there's a series of steps and sequences to follow and a process to get people to become a customer. It's not a case of just making an offer. There's a sequence and a process to follow, and that's building your sales funnel. So that's the Prism funnel. So what we're going to go through is tips related to each stage that will help you build the audience, the relationships, drive more traffic, build more subscribers, and generate more money. So I hope that's all interesting.
It's
That all sound okay
terribly
so far?
interesting. I love it.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and I think about Prism, and it really does encompass every struggle that anybody just getting started on Twitter has ever felt. It's, where do I find relevant people to connect with? How do I build those meaningful relationships? How do I drive, traffic from Twitter over to my website, to my blog? It's all something that I think we learned over time as it kind of
Yeah.
evolved, being early adopters to Twitter, but it's getting tougher and tougher, as I'm sure you have found as well. And having a framework, as you said, something like this in place to where you know every single day what you're doing, what to expect, where to spend your time, rather than beating your head against the wall or binging all over the place, as we can tend to do with social media. You're just very strategic and focused.
Exactly. So you're thinking about, well, I'm actually building the audience because now I have people to build relationships with, and now I can drive more traffic, and then I build my subscribers, and now I can make more money. So then I step back up again and go, wow, if I can build more an audience, can I make more money? And that's how it works to build that process.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I'm excited to hear the rest of it.
Cool. Okay, great. We still have you then. Good, good.
Yes, I am
Okay.
here all the way.
Okay. Okay, so we have the structured based on tips because we just find it's much easier if you go, well, here's an actual tip you can implement. So the first one is to get this right is if you see A up top, that's a tweet that's shared and it's a link to somebody's blog and there isn't much information in it. Down below number B here, or letter B here, is a sharing again, and again it's a blog, except a big image is displayed here. Now that's really important. If you want to get attention in somebody's Twitter feed, you need to get that image in. So if you've got a blog post or something, to get that image in. Now to get that image in, you need to understand Twitter cards. Now I'm going to give you a little tool which is you can run this tool against your website and see is your website set up correctly. So I go to a tool called smo.noem.com. The name is in the top in the tip there, and that will do an analysis of your content on your website to tell you, do you have it set up correctly for sharing? So I'm going to select the Twitter button here, and I see here Twitter optimization score is 100%. That means I don't need to talk to any developer. Everything's okay. If you go there and you see your Twitter optimization score is 40% or something, it means the developer needs to add a couple of pieces of code for Twitter cards, and all this does is describe what's on your page. So it'll say, hey, there's an image on this page, so when somebody shares out a tweet, I want that image to be shared with the tweet. So now if you just get this set up, more of your content that's shared will have an image in it, which means more people will click on it, which means more engagement, more attention, and that means more traffic back to your website. So you take a note of smo.noem.com. You'll just put in your website address. If you're technical, you can fix it yourself. If you're not, you go to your developer and just say, I want this to be 100%. And you'll see it has Facebook and Google Plus and LinkedIn, so you can look at the other ones as well. But here we're talking about Twitter.
You know, Ian, I was going to say too, you've got a great example in Yoast. So even if you're not terribly technical, if you have a WordPress blog, Yoast, as a plugin, does have the opportunity for you to get your Twitter card set up. And it's fairly simple. So there is that, depending on whether or not you work with a developer. But I think we all know at this point how incredibly important visual marketing is. And adding this, when you look through, anymore when I look through my Twitter feed, my eye is automatically drawn to any tweet with a visual, with a graphic attached to it. And this, as you said, just ensures that anything you have going out from your website or your blog has that visual attached to it. I just think it's a critical component that we cannot overlook at this point.
Yeah, and it's funny about Yoast. So Yoast is a great plugin for your blog to optimize your blog content, but over time they've extended that functionality, and now, as Rebecca said, you have the opportunity to add in additional information for when people share out your blog to different social media channels. So you need to get the basics right because you want to, no matter how many shares you have on your website, you want to make sure that anyone that's shared, the image does get shared and all the right information gets shared with it. So that's going to be very important. Okay, so number 2, okay, build your following. People say, oh, well, the number of followers doesn't matter. Well, the number of followers does matter if you're building relevant followers and an engaged audience. So if I've got 100 followers and they are relevant to my business and they're engaging with my content and I'm driving traffic to the website as a result, well, it makes perfect sense. If I double the number of followers, I'm going to double the engagement and double the audience to my site. So, it's not all about numbers, certainly not. Just saying, oh, I have 1 million followers, that means nothing. If you got 1 million followers and they're a very active, engaged community and they're totally relevant to your business, well, then that's extremely valuable. So you need to think of the P part of Prism, people, it's building an audience. You need to be building an audience, always be building that audience because that's going to give more benefit to you. So a couple of tools, well, this tool in particular is quite useful called Social Quant. Actually, I didn't change this. I always get this mixed up. It's socialquant.net. So socialquant.net is the actual tool. So what it does is I go to socialquant.net and I put in I put in certain keywords that are relevant to my business, and this has a great algorithm that goes across Twitter and it finds lots of relevant followers related to these keywords, and then it automatically follows people on a daily basis. And then if they don't follow back after a period, they'll unfollow. Now, I look at this list, so I'm in the social media world, so I pick terms like content marketing, digital marketing. If I see Razor Social, if somebody mentions Razor Social, nearly 40% of the times, if I follow them, they will follow back. So it makes perfect sense if somebody's mentioning your brand that you're definitely going to want to follow them and that you want them to follow you back. So this automates it. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, as long as you're not too aggressive. It's just building your following on a regular basis. You want to reach out and find new relevant followers and follow them, but you may not have the time to do it, so automating a bit is very useful. So
Well,
that's useful. Yep.
sorry, I was going to jump in on that real quick there because I think you make an excellent point where, there's sometimes that bad taste in people's mouths, or it can be a bad word talking about automation. And I'm a firm believer in using automation to do exactly the type of tasks that you're talking about, where it's not the days of automation where you were just spamming people or you were following anybody and everybody. It's getting hyper targeted in who your market is. So as you showed there, you're very specific in the keywords that you're out there actively looking for, people that are talking in and around those topics. So that, to your point, you're gaining an audience that's relevant to your business, that's actually interested in the content that you're sharing, and that is actually interested in spreading that message on your behalf. So I know Mike with Social Quant, we had talked a little bit about this. I haven't had the opportunity to dive into the tool, but I love the idea of it because to me, it frees us up from those daily to-dos that keep us from actually getting in there and engaging and creating relationships, which are truly the most important thing to building your following, building that strong community of people that are actively seeking you out on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have that process, like you say, Rebecca, in place because you want to, like you say, you want to build relationships. So if you're spending time clicking buttons all the time, following people, or doing things like that are manual, well, that doesn't free you up time to actually build the relationships is what you really want to do. So this just helps.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so that was number 2. And by the way, when I look at use socialquant.net, I go to analytics.twitter.com. That's useful for Twitter analytics and gives you really good analytics. It shows me, the impressions are going up, profile visits are going up, followers are going up, mentions are going up. So you want to see if you're using these tools, are your stats going up? You want to make sure that your engagement is still going up as well. So once it is, and you do a random check every so often to make sure they're the right type of followers, then just continue using that tool. Okay, tip number 3, find and engage with influencers. Influencers open up the gates to more followers, engagement, and traffic. One of the best ways of, well, influence is, I say influence is the new online currency. Because if you build influence online, it means you've more followers, more engagement, more traffic, more money. So how do you build influence? Well, one of the best ways is, getting to know other influencers, becoming friends with them, getting to know them, share their content, interacting with them, and that means they'll start sharing your content over time, and you over time will become an influencer, which we'd all like to be an influencer. So one of the tools I use is Social Bro. It's a really good, useful Twitter tool. It allows me to do really good filtered searches. So what I'm here is I'm looking for key influencers within the industry. So I'm searching for specific keywords in their bios. So they have a 160 character bio on Twitter, and I can search right in that bio to find them. And I can search even by location within that. So when I do them searches, then I get a list of people. Now I can start filtering them based on level of influence, number of followers, the tweets per day. There's a whole range, and that'll bring it down to a nice group of influential people that I'll start following and I'll start interacting with. So I might create something like a Twitter list, which is just a way of grouping Twitter followers together, and that's where I'll start tracking and following them. So Social Bro is very useful it has lots of good functionality. This is one piece for identifying the most relevant people that you should be engaging with. Now, I mentioned just briefly there about lists. Another way is find somebody that's created the list already, subscribe to that list, and then you can track it. So somebody may have created this list of influencers in your industry that you may want to connect with. Like, who are the influencers in your industry? They could be bloggers, they could be customers, existing customers, they could be journalists. There's a whole range of different influencers. So Brian here, Brian Fanzo here, he does a lot of live streaming and things like that, and he creates a lot of lists, particularly for conferences he goes to. So you could look at the list here and then subscribe to the list, and then you can start tracking that list. So find somebody that's very active on Twitter in your industry and have a look at their lists. And it could be a case of they may have the list already created that you can subscribe to. Now you can start tracking these people. So as you track them, you start interacting. As you start interacting, you start building a relationship. They start seeing your content. They start sharing your content. That brings in more traffic. On the right-hand side, I created a list recently of, based in Ireland. I just want to have a list of Irish people in marketing in Ireland, and just to track everybody that's in the marketing industry in Ireland. So I can track what they're saying and interact with them as well. Now, I have an advanced tip for if you want to take this a step further. You can create a Twitter ad that targets members of your list. So if you create a list, I'll give you a practical example. I wrote a post there a few weeks ago about social media trends and technology trends. I want journalists to see that post. So I have a Twitter list of technology journalists. I take that list and then I export it in Social Bro, and then that gives me a list of the names, and then I run a Twitter ad based on that list. So some of these journalists then will start seeing details of that post, and hopefully they'll visit the blog, and hopefully they'll look for, create an article about something that's within the post. So you can target members of the list with Twitter ads, and Twitter ads are becoming more and more powerful, and they're similar in functionality to Facebook ads, but becoming more and more powerful.
Ian, a couple
Okay,
of questions on that, because I absolutely love that tip. I think Twitter lists are a very underutilized, still to this day, incredibly powerful, excuse me, powerful tool that I know when I first started with Twitter, it was just that overwhelm of how much information is coming at you. And Twitter lists are a great way to consolidate, to really organize followers, all those people that you want to keep up with on a daily basis, or as you said, get your content out there in front of, they're an easy way for you to organize that, come in daily and just say, oh, okay, here's my, my list of journalists or my list of social media authors or bloggers. And you go in there and all of a sudden you just get one filtered feed of everything that they're tweeting about that you can just instantly either retweet or comment on, really start to get involved in that conversation. But your tip about the ad, wow. I mean, that just takes that one big, huge step further. And one question I would have for you is price point and cost. Is there a typical, daily costs that you're looking at? Do they have to be expensive in order for them to be effective?
Yeah, I mean the cost does vary a lot, and it can be a little bit expensive on Twitter. But I mean, for example, I don't know, actually I done that recently, and it was about 25 cents a click. But not all clicks are clicks to the website. So some of the clicks are, clicks on the image within the post as well. So I mean, so you're talking maybe 50 cents a click to get to your website, which is, it's okay. It's just you need to make sure, well, what happens when they arrive at the website? So it has to be really targeted. So like if I done it to every journalist, it wouldn't make, it'd be a waste of money. But purely technology journalists, and then if I found technology journalists that were interested in social, so they wrote a lot about social, well, they're going to be interested in a trends article, so that's going to be more relevant people. So just make sure it's really relevant, the group that you're targeting. And remember, this is your list, so you're targeting this specific group, so nobody else is targeting this specific group.
So definitely go narrow rather than wide on your
Yeah,
targeting. Yeah,
yeah,
makes
yeah,
complete
because you
sense.
want to make sure it's not, you just don't want to click, you want somebody that's really interested in your content to read your content and then take an action at that stage.
Well, and it goes back to what you were talking about at the beginning, which is really knowing what your goals are, what you're looking to get out of that, and who
Yeah,
is that target market, and then what are those steps you want them to take, because it's not going to do you any good if you're A, targeting anybody and everybody, and B, sending anybody and everybody to something that's going to be totally uninteresting or not relevant to them whatsoever. And all of a sudden you've accumulated. And I think that's where you see a lot of people complaining about how costly Twitter ads can be, just like anything else, if you're not paying attention and really identifying who your target market is.
yeah, absolutely. And going back to Prism, think about your funnel. It's going, well, this is going to help me build influence, and what's that worth? So, like you say, Rebecca, you need to be measuring it all. So never run ads without any measurement in place, because you just have no idea, was this ad on Twitter, did that drive me lots of business, or was it a tweet that somebody else shared? So you need to measure everything.
Yeah, and I know you're going to talk a little bit about that measurement too, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent, excellent advice.
Cool. Okay, so number five. Are we ready for number five?
I am ready. Bring it on.
Cool. So, okay, number five, find the best hashtags to use. So, some stats here: 24% of measured tweets contained hashtags of the tweets that were measured. Tweets with one or two hashtags have 21% higher engagement than those with three or four. So, having a couple of relevant hashtags is useful. Having too many is not. Once you get over two hashtags, then there's a 17% drop. So it is useful to use hashtags, but use them selectively and use one or two and make sure they're very relevant what you do. So hashtags does generate more engagement. Righttag.com is a very useful tool for analyzing hashtags. So I put in marketing, and it's shown me all different terms related to marketing that's used a lot, across Twitter. Now, it also there's an Instagram search on it now as well. This, I'm using the free version. There is a paid version, but you can use the free version to get some useful information to start off with. So if you're unsure of what hashtags to use, that's a good starting point to have a look at RightTag. This is another useful tool called Autonomy. And again, what we try to do as much as possible, these tools are, there's a free and a paid version. So I'm using the free version here. That gives me a good analysis of a competitor. So I put in a competitor's address or a partner's address or somebody that's doing very well on Twitter, and you find out, well, how many tweets they're sending a day, what's the engagement like, what's their most popular tweets. It also shows you things like who are they engaging with on a regular basis? You know, who are the people that they're chatting to? So if you've identified somebody and said, wow, that's an influential person, I need to build a relationship with that person. Well, if you look at who they're interacting with all the time, they're probably interacting with other influential people that you want to connect with. And maybe you connect with them first, you know, and then you go for the key influencer. So this tool, Twitonomy, is useful. You just put in the Twitter address, so it's very simple to use, and it's going to give you lots of really, really useful information as part of that tool. This is where I mentioned, you know, it shows you things like, well, for this Twitter user, what's the user's most retweeted within tweets? What's the user's most replied to? Who are they engaging with most? What's the users they mention all the time? And this is going to give you really useful, valuable information as you build your list of people that you go, I want to connect with this group, and that's going to give you very useful information.
That's a lot of
Oh,
info in that screenshot. No,
yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very useful, and like I said, there's a very good free component to it, and we always like when there's a bit of free in there.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. Well, and there's just so many tools out there when it comes to Twitter especially. So identifying those top tools, and that's another one I really have not used. So I'm excited to
mm,
dive in and take a look at that one.
cool, great.
Yeah.
Okay, tip number 7. I mean, this simple tip about keyword monitoring. So within a tool like Hootsuite, you can set up a stream within Hootsuite, which is a filtered view of tweets. So I could say, well, I am looking for, so this is saying planning trip Boston. So imagine if you're a hotel in Boston and you want to identify anybody around the world that was on Twitter talking about, you know, potentially going to Boston. Well, they'll probably use the words planning trip Boston within their tweet somewhere. So I'm putting in these words. They don't have to be in the same order, but I'm just saying, well, I want to see tweets that have these words in them anywhere within the tweet. So on the right hand side, the first thing I come across is planning my up and coming trip to Boston, staying at the Verb Hotel, got a special room rate on me. So this one is actually, this looks like somebody that has a hotel, but generally what you'll do, you'll find a lot of information in here about people planning trips to Boston. So think about the type of keywords people are using for your business. You know, they might be buying something, they might be organizing something or planning something. So think about those keywords and then create filtered lists within a tool like Hootsuite that allows you to track that. And then quite often you'll find opportunities to engage with people, opportunities to generate business just by tracking Twitter. Like, are you monitoring Twitter for this conversation at the moment? Because conversation is happening about your product or service, about people buying it, talking to competitors, you know, so that it is happening. So find this conversation, reach out and find it, and that's going to be a good way of generating business as well.
Well, and keywords are such a proactive way of inserting yourself into a conversation. I love this example because if you are, say going to a conference, all of a sudden you're getting actively involved in a conversation happening around maybe that, conference hashtag or maybe around the city hashtag, and you want to learn more about Boston or what you could go see while you're there. And now you're taking that proactive stance in actively getting to know people or getting to know the city or whatever the case might be, and then reaching out to people. Another example, I work within the real estate industry quite a bit, and so it's maybe monitoring a hashtag like buying a home and then
Mm.
having that location, and people are talking about to their friends, hey, I'm looking at, possibly buying a home. Well, all of a sudden, that keyword has opened up the opportunity for you to pop in and say, oh, how exciting. That you're looking at, are you moving to the area? Are you, currently in the area? Would love to answer, any questions you might have about Los Angeles, or wherever it might be. So it's a very, in my opinion, soft sell way. It doesn't have to be and shouldn't be spammy, but a really easy way to get yourself into those conversations, but also to find all those people you were talking about a little bit ago, too, that are influential around that keyword, that are actively talking about or sharing content within, that space. And I'll tell you, Post Planner also has, I don't know if you use this feature within the app, but it's very, very simple to track keywords, to where you could create a folder of keywords and that entire stream will just open up kind of like a Twitter list for you. And you could,
Mm.
yeah, you could just, interact, engage, you could retweet, you could share their content. It's all about simplicity to me. How easy can you make all of these different things we've got to do, right, in order to build our following, in order to really engage people? And there's so many different ways to do it, but I love keywords, just like lists. Again, I think they're both very underutilized strategies that bring huge results.
Absolutely. And I would say to people is, like you said, Rebecca, it's soft sell. I mean, I never, ever, my first response is never going to be buy my product. That's just not the way you do it on social. Your first response has to be something helpful that's going to add the conversation. If somebody is saying I'm planning a trip to Boston and looking for a hotel, your first one might be, hey, when are you coming? It's a great time of year to come in October, or November, and then they respond and then go, have you sorted out your hotel yet? No. Okay, well, just so we have a great place. We'd love to have you. I mean, that's just conversation. That's how in the real world conversation would happen. You don't just jump in immediately and say, come to my hotel. So just be careful. I mean, it's brilliant to monitor it, but you just need to, when you're responding, if you respond not too salesy initially, then you'll do very well with the likes of the keyword monitoring.
Well, it's that whole idea of giving first, right? Being
Yeah.
incredibly valuable in what you're offering, as opposed to trying to just shove something down people's throats. We all know how we respond to that. And you made me giggle just a little bit when you said
Yeah.
it's not how, we act online. And I think it just goes back to old school networking, where
Yeah.
would you walk into a networking event with a bullhorn shouting, Ian is amazing? Probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. No, no, no,
Yeah. And
no,
if you
exactly.
did, I'm
Exactly.
pretty sure I know how we'd all respond, but not
Absolutely.
that you're not.
Absolutely. Exactly. And that's the thing with social is we forget it's like not a lot has changed as in it's about relationships and engaging with people and just think about the real world and then try and map that to online.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Great advice.
cool, great. Okay, so we're going to get a small bit technical, but just a little bit because we need to track some of these things. Now, every tweet we send, we don't need to track. But imagine if we were running a campaign and we were promoting something and we wanted to promote it across Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and everything, and we were running Twitter ads and Twitter posts and all. Well, we want to see what's worked, what has driven traffic to our website, what has converted when they got there. So then next time you run your campaign, well, that Twitter ad worked because we made $10,000 out of it. But you need to know this. Now, for tracking campaigns, Google has this thing called UTM tracking. And all it is you put a little piece of code onto your end of your link to your website, and there's some tracking information in there. So it says, oh, this link is coming from Facebook, or this link is coming from a Twitter ad. So when you get to your website, on your Google Analytics, you'll be able to see, any tweet that was sent, where it came from, what happened when it arrived. So an example, you get traffic to a blog post from paid or unpaid means on Facebook, you can't track this in Google Analytics unless you have the campaign tracking code set up. So I'm going to show you an example. of this, of how you would set it up. So this is a little to a plugin called, it's a Google UTM Builder. So all I do is at the start I put in the website address, then I put in source. I say, oh, I'm going to share this on Facebook. The medium is a post, and the campaign is, that's Digital Influencers Club. It's just the name of the campaign. And then if you see final URL below, that's the URL is there, and then there's a lot of different tracking codes at the end of it. You click a button to generate just a short link. We've all seen them on Twitter, these short links, and this is bit.ly. Now when you're sharing your post out on Twitter, you use that link. And that means when you get to Google Analytics, you can see exactly where this came from. So if I go back in now and I'm sharing I'm running a Twitter ad, I will go in and I'll put source equal Twitter, medium equals ad, and the same campaign. So now what happens is when I go into Google Analytics, under campaign section, I see the campaigns, and with the campaigns I can see, hey, well this traffic came from Twitter, this from Pinterest, this from Facebook, this from LinkedIn, because you've set up that tracking code. So all you do is when you're creating a campaign, you use that tool to create a tracking code for every platform, and then just share that whenever you're sharing something related to the campaign, use that link. And then you can see exactly what's happened to that traffic. So I'm able to go in and say, oh, my Twitter ad generated 5 sales. My tweet generated no sales. So now next time I run a campaign, I can say, right, well, now I'll use the ad instead. So like I say, it's just a little bit technical, but so important to set up this tracking. Don't run any ads without any tracking. You just can't do it. So have a look at that Google UTM Builder. It's a free plugin. And once you use it once or twice, you'll be familiar with it, and then it'll be easier after that. Does that make sense, the way I explained it, Rebecca?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the missing piece for a lot of people is, yeah, you're out there, you're sharing, you're maybe curating, you're creating your own content, but you're missing the UTM. You're missing the ability to actually know what action people are taking. And you said it, which was really an important piece, just in case people missed it, which is creating those codes for every single social network so that you
Yeah.
know what's coming from where.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we're on to number 9. A simple tip but very effective. Oh, sorry, we went to number 10 there. Simple tip but very effective. So on Twitter, you can pin posts to the top of your Twitter feed. So make sure you pin something there that's going to drive people back to a page on your website that's valuable or useful to you. So in this case, on the left-hand side, we have a pinned post saying, oh, we've got a free guide. When you go to the blog then or the website, you will see there's an option to download the free guide. And so people are subscribing to the email list. So every day we're building email subscribers from this pinned tweet. So make sure on Twitter, for every, make sure on the top of your Twitter feed, you have a tweet pinned which is promoting something. Because every new follower you get now will see this. And a lot of them will click on this and go to your website. So now you have them built, you're building email subscribers from this, and now you can sell, to email subscribers. So make sure you pin your content. Now this one, I use this tool a lot when I'm creating blog posts. It's a free tool. It's called the Emotional Marketing Value Headline Analyzer. Nice long name. And I've included the address there where you get it. And all you do is when you're creating a blog post, you put this in, the post name, and it's going to give you a rating out of 100%. The higher the rating, the more this content or this title is going to appeal to people emotionally. And the higher I have found, when I get over 50%, I get more shares of my blog content and more tweets and retweets. So if you're creating a tweet even, use this for some of your tweet to find out, well, is this going to be compelling enough? Or you've created a blog post, use this to find out when you share it on Twitter, is this going to really appeal to the emotional side of people? And like I say, a high percentage, just put it in here, it's going to give you a percentage. A high percentage gets more shares, likes, retweets. It just works. So, and it's a free tool, so definitely worth checking out.
It absolutely works. I have used it for years and I'm almost
Yeah,
addicted, to putting in variations and playing around with it and seeing if I
yeah.
how close I can get it to. I think I've hit 100% maybe once.
Have you? Wow, that's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, I
I
think.
actually often look at your titles, Rebecca, because you always have very good titles.
Oh, well, thank
So,
you. Yeah, but
yeah,
I use this religiously and I use CoSchedule. I don't know if you've used that one as well.
yeah,
CoSchedule.com. And theirs is a little different in what it analyzes, but it's still looking at the emotional value
yeah,
and how well are you tapping into that. But it's interesting to see, from a, A/B test, really testing those headlines, seeing what works best. This is such a, I think, another important step because it is the that first thing that people are going to see and the reason that they're going to click through to your content or click away, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, okay, and there's just an example of, you can see here, this one is, we got a score of 53%. So that's pretty good. I've never got 100, so I'm curious to have a look at all Rebecca's titles. I think I'll put all Rebecca's titles in here to find out 100% one.
You
So I can
know,
just copy it.
An interesting note with this tool, it doesn't like numbers. So if you back out 12, all of a
Yeah.
sudden it will perform significantly better, which I find
Wow.
amusing. Yeah, but
Hmm.
it doesn't like specific words, which, obviously it's just not deeming those as emotionally relevant or valuable. But it
Yeah.
does give you a great baseline, somewhere to start, and then test out, maybe three, four different variations of that and see how close you can get. But you're absolutely right. I have found that somewhere between 50 and 70% is really my sweet spot, where,
Yeah.
yeah, the majority of my traffic comes from my highly trafficked posts seem to fall in that. And even some of my older posts that, are 40%. So it's not 100% accurate, but it is a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's free as well, so it's definitely worth
Gotta love
having a
the fruit
look at.
for sure.
We all like we like free as well. So, and the last tip is analyze and optimize your results. This is within Post Planner. You can have a look at when you share your tweets. Well, are they working? How many times impressions are? How many times it's been displayed to somebody? Then what many engagements? Many people have interacted and the percentage engagement. I like what Post Planner does because it's quite simple. We can just see clearly, well, what's working and what's not working. So this is definitely very useful as well to do. Actually, this is not within Post Planner, is it, Rebecca?
No, that's Twitter analytics.
That's Twitter
Hmm.
Analytics. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Post Planner has good analytics because
Yep.
it does. So Twitter Analytics give you broader analytics, so it gives you lots of analytics, whereas in Post Planner it's very focused. So the combination of both of the tools will give you really good, useful information for what's working and what's not working.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. When you combine those two, it's so easy to start identifying what content is really resonating.
yeah, exactly. So I hope that was useful so far. I think we'll open up. Is there any more questions, Rebecca, that people would like to ask?
We have had a lot of questions. Leanne, I don't know if you've got a list, but I'll just kind of, do
Yes.
you? Wonderful.
There's actually three questions for you guys to answer. And the first one is from Rosemary, and she asked, how do we find lists to subscribe to?
So there's a couple of different ways. Well, I mean, if you go to somebody's Twitter profile, like if you go to Rebecca's Twitter profile, any public list that she has created, you'll be able to click on them lists and then you'll be able to subscribe to the lists. So the easier way will be to find somebody that you know that's active on Twitter in your field and have a look at their lists. That's probably the best way, I think, of finding. But yourself, Rebecca, do you have a different approach?
No, I definitely think that's the best. It's going
Yeah.
to those people that are going to be connected to people that are interested in the same kind of content that you are, that are sharing the same similar type of content. I've also found, I had mentioned conferences a little bit ago, but anything like that, an event that you're a part of that has created a list, sometimes they'll create a list of all of the presenters or the authors or whoever it is that attended that, even if it's a local event, whatever the case might be. And those are great to tap into, just so that you can extend that relationship, that conversation beyond that initial event. And it can be really great on a local level, if you are, say, a small business owner in a local area and you're looking to make those connections. Lists can be really good for tapping into those people that are in your city, maybe in your state, depending on how wide your circle is, or how wide you want to cast your net. But yeah, I think that's, to me, been the number one way I've gone about it.
Cool.
What else, Leanne?
And then our second question comes from Steven, and he's asked, would you create a targeted landing page when you launch a Twitter campaign?
Absolutely. I mean, if you, for example, have a Twitter campaign to promote, you're promoting some, you know, general campaign or whatever, I would definitely have a landing page for for Twitter, especially if Twitter is an important platform for you. So if somebody's coming from Twitter and you mention, hey, thanks for coming over from Twitter, that's going to work better than a general landing page. So it depends on you know if Twitter is a really important platform. If it's not and you're on many different channels, well then you probably won't create individual pages for every channel.
Hoping.
Awesome. We have another question from Carl, who asked, should you use hashtags on your pinned tweets?
There's no harm in using it. People will reshare your pinned tweets. So you'll find that the ones at the top, once you provide something of value on that pinned tweet, people will reshare it. If they reshare it and there's a relevant hashtag, then you've got an opportunity for more engagement. So yes.
Yeah, I would definitely use hashtags, because your pinned tweets, you're seeing a virality in those that is coming from them being pinned to the top of your profile. And so, yeah, absolutely. If you're asking people to spread that content message, you want that hashtag to go right along with it, so that you're just creating that extended reach.
Okay.
I know we've got some more
Okay.
in there, Leanne. What else?
Yeah, and I see that Norma asked, do I need to use a tool like Hootsuite as well as Post Planner? Maybe do you want to address the
Yeah.
benefits of multiple tools and how that works?
Well, and Ian, I know you're going to have an answer just like I do, but yeah, for me, the answer is definitely yes. Post Planner is not a communication tool like a Hootsuite or a Sprout Social that I use. It's meaning. It's not going to give you the ability to respond to content. What it does is it helps you discover content, discover that relevant content, make it very easy for you to identify that content or pull that content in. And then we have a unique algorithm, a scoring system that lets you identify within your niche, within your market, how popular was that content? How well did it already perform on Twitter, on Facebook? So it gives you that predictability of knowing exactly how it's performed, and then that assumption that, hey, well, if it's performed well before with a similar target market, it's going to do well for my market as well. So you do need two separate tools where you're able to find that content, get that content out there in a very simple way, and then a tool that allows you to get interactive and stay involved with your Twitter followers. Would you agree
Yeah,
on
and I'd
that,
agree.
or yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Like you say, Pulse Planner is an amazing tool, but it's not a communications tool, so you do need a couple of tools in your bag.
Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, we're still living in that world where there is an abundance of tools, but there is not a one size fits all. It's really, for me, it's been finding those two tools that work in tandem, work really, really well together, where it makes it easy for you to get that content out there and then easy for you to stay involved.
Yeah, cool.
Anything else, Leanne?
Um, One more from Hakan. He asked, "Can I use my Twitter list to create targeted Twitter ads? Can I use Social Bro?"
Yeah, so what you need to do is you can't currently target specific Twitter lists, but what you can do is you can use Social Bro to create a list of all the Twitter IDs, and then you can target the Twitter IDs. So you use a combination of Social Bro and with your Twitter list, Social Bro, and then the ad.
Excellent.
Okay,
Cool.
I think that's about it.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, I hope now from what we've seen, what we displayed here, we talked about Prism, the model, and this is very useful for following a structure and process to actually make money out of channels like this. So we focused mainly on this, on building an audience, building relationships, and then driving the inbound traffic. And we talked a little bit about the measurement. What we didn't have time to go through is, the next stage then, how do you build all the email subscribers, how you do the retargeting, and how you would do a process to monetize that at that stage. You want the full end-to-end process. So hopefully Prism will be useful and you'll start following that sort of model. I'd just like to tell you as well, we're on the call, that we do have a club called Digital Influencers Club as part of Razor Social. It's a monthly subscription club, and we teach that Prism process, and we teach you everything you need to know to go from starting place right to actually generating a sale. And we include monthly live workshops where we go through specific areas of this, shorter how-to videos that are 5 minutes long, which help you understand all the different tools you can use and all the different technical things you need to know about. And some simple guides and templates as well, checklists and things so you need to know what to do. We also have a latest trends on a monthly basis saying, well, this is what's happening in the industry. Here's stuff that we're testing like Twitter ads. Here's the results so that people don't have to retest all this. We'll show people what's working and not working. And of course, a Facebook group where I'm there all the time answering questions and interacting. So we just said to Rebecca, because we're on this call, we'd make an offer that we don't normally make, but just on this call, and it's only available for a couple of days. And the offer is to join the club for $9 for the first month. Now what you get, we done a workshop last month and we were charging $97. So you immediately get access to that when you join up. In 2 weeks' time, we're doing another workshop. So the first one is on driving traffic from social media and converting that traffic. So it goes all the way through to conversion. The next one that we're doing in a couple of weeks is how to build a blog that dominates our niche. That's $97. But if you're part of the club, you get that for $48 a month plus all the other stuff. So just for you guys, it's $9 for the first month, and there's no contract. So you could join for the first month and then leave. You still get access to 2 courses worth $97 each, plus all the other benefits as well. And it's open for 4 days. So let's go to razorsocial.com/membership. On that page, you'll see details, and if you scroll down, there'll be a payment thing at the bottom. And on that, when you're putting in your payment details, put in coupon code PostPlanner, and that will discount the $48 to $9. And like I said, it's not, it's just for the first month you get it for $9, and you get access to all this information, and there's no contract on it at all. So you only stay there if it's providing you value. But we're all about taking from social all the way through to generating the sale and all the sales funnels. So razorsocial.com/membership, and we'd love to have some of you. So thank
Love
you.
it. Love it. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Anything you'd like to share, Rebecca?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for being here and sharing so much information with us. As I talked about, definitely want to invite everybody into the Post Planner family as well. Mention just a little bit our scientific proven formula that is so much of what I know we're all looking for: viral content that will triple your retweets, your follows, and your clicks. Exactly what we're talking about here today on how to double your website traffic, followers, and sales. It will make you intentional. It will give you purpose and focus with your tweeting, with your social media, and allow you to start seeing those real results that we've been talking about. So, just like with Ian and Razor Social, we want to offer something special to you for being here today. If you pop over to the next slide, Ian, we have a coupon code for you as well. All you have to do is go to planner, so PLA.NR/PP tweets. And if you just make it to our website, postplanner.com, go to sign up. You can use the coupon code. It's G, that looks a little bit like an E, but it's actually
It does,
G,
yeah.
yeah, GW Love TW, GW Love TW, and that is 30% off the Love Annual Plan. So just $5 a month instead of $7 per month. And just like Ian's, it's valid for 4 days, and everybody here is going to get the replay. So we'll be sending those offers out as well. So we'll make sure that if you didn't scribble it down, you've definitely got it. But I know we're a minute over. So, Ian, just want to say thank you again. Thank you so much for being here today, sharing your wealth of information that I know you do every single day on Razor Social, and for giving us so much value in such a short amount of time. Wow, 60 minutes flew by. So
It
awesome
did.
stuff.
Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. And I test a lot of different tools, a lot of different social media tools, and I still use Post Planner. I just think it's just really well designed. It's so essential to use a tool like this. If you want to build engagement, build the relationships, and build the traffic, you need these type of tools. So I love it.
Well, we love you, especially for that testimonial. That was fantastic. And no, he wasn't paid to say that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's not in my interest. I just
Oh,
really like the tool, so
well,
that's it.
thank you. All right. Well, thank you to everybody again for being here. And hopefully you have a great rest of the week, Ian, and we will look forward to seeing you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me. Cheers, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody.